Okay, I'm just trying to do a quick video and give a quick update on where I landed with my LSAT. So I had to postpone because I knew I wasn't ready. So I pushed my date to 2 months out so I could just get a bit more study time, and I'm glad that I did. I had several personal things happen as, a non-traditional older student. I had like a crazy plumbing thing happen to me like the day before my test, but that's no excuse, right? So what I ended up on my LSAT score was a 157. It came as no surprise because that's what my prep tests were telling me. So if I can say one rule is that whatever you're getting on the prep test, if you're doing it right under realistic circumstances, that's probably what you're going to get on the real test date. Sorry, I felt like I heard my kids screaming. Anyway, they are screaming, but that's okay. I'm going to get this done. So with that said, I can say that Manhattan Prep, I went up a full 10 points with their help. I know that I probably could have done better if I had a little bit more time. I know that sounds crazy because I did study for 6 months, but keep in mind, I work full time and I have 2 young children and a husband. So it's not unrealistic for somebody in that situation to need more study time. I probably could have gotten in maybe like the low 160s. So my initial goal of 165 was probably unrealistic, but I could have done a lot better because after doing it over and over again, you get the hang of it. The LSAT can be learned. As long as you have the right texts and the right materials and the right teaching methods that match your way of learning, it is a test that can be conquered and learned. So don't give up is my advice. If you feel like you just keep getting better and better, push that test off. If you can, push it off until you know you've plateaued in your score. I know I could have gotten a little bit higher than I got on the test, but I just couldn't push it off anymore and pay another $200 to redo it. And plus, if you wait any longer than the admissions process, you are less likely to get in the later that you take the LSAT. So with that said, I applied to 4 schools. I'm very restricted because the schools in my area are very competitive. I live in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and all of these schools are pretty good. So a 157 is technically in the 70th percentile, but a lot of the better schools in this area, you have to be like, up there, like scoring in the high 160s, low 170 range to get like a surefire thing, especially with somebody like me who has a very low GPA. So what I've learned is admissions people do not care about your master's degree. I have a master's degree with a 3.77, but since it doesn't fit into their rankings, they don't really care. And by and large, I think the whole law school admissions process is really only about the numbers. So first and foremost, LSAT is king. I think they'll take a high LSAT score over a weak GPA any day, as opposed to a very, very high GPA and a low LSAT score. That's just my personal opinion. All of that fluffy stuff doesn't matter, I think, in maybe the lower ranked schools. So when I say fluffy stuff, I mean like your personal statement, your recommendations. All that stuff does not matter unless you meet the basic LSAT GPA scores. You probably already know this, but some people don't. Some people like to believe in miracles and unicorns, and it just is not true. So numbers matter. It's unfortunate because then that just perpetuates the process. High-ranking fancy pants schools like to get the high-ranking fancy pants students, and that results in the big law firms going only to the high-ranking schools to get those students. So if you're not one of those students, you better know somebody or have had some extraordinary event happen in your life or be famous, because I just don't believe that they give a crap about anybody. Maybe diversity could be on your side if they don't have a highly diverse population and you happen to be one of the minorities. I really can't tell you. But anyways, I've applied for 4 schools. Two of them are probably out of my reach, but I really focus heavily on statistics. So I look at the 509 ABA disclosures, and I also look at, big law firms. I'll go to their law firm website and sort the lawyers by school to see who they are and aren't hiring. I've applied for one that I feel like is a sure thing and one that is kind of in the middle. So I've applied 4 places. I got waitlisted on the Reach school, which I knew was going to be hard because I was kind of in that lower quartile when you look at the LSAT and GPA statistics on the 509 report from each school. So I was waitlisted, and honestly, waitlisting is just a nice way of saying no. Call it what it is. I was accepted to one of my target schools. One of my safe schools hasn't replied, and then I have another school that's a reach that is my ultimate dream that I would love to go to, and I have not heard back yet. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm also looking at the money, which in your mind how much everything's going to cost, but when you start seeing those numbers and you start seeing that huge amount of debt, man, it makes you second guess your dream. But that's where I'm at right now. Sorry it took so long to give you an update. So I do have one acceptance under my belt. I'm not sure if I'm going to go there. It's not my first choice. It's very far. It's very expensive. But they do have a very good part-time program. So stay tuned. We'll see what